Welcome to another deep dive. We're going to be checking out I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi.
Ooh, yeah, I've heard good things.
Have you read it?
I haven't actually sat down and read the whole thing, but I've
Uh,
definitely, skimmed it and heard a lot about it.
yeah.
And I've seen Sethi give talks and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, a listener sent this in because they're looking for a clear path to managing their money without feeling limited. So let's jump in and see if this book delivers.
All right, I'm excited.
Cool. So one thing I thought was interesting right off the bat was how Sethi talks about all these people who have had really positive experiences with his system.
Mm-hmm.
Like he mentions this guy, Bevan Hurst, who built over $40,000 in retirement savings
Wow.
just from maxing out his Roth IRA.
That's amazing, especially because, most people don't even know what a Roth IRA is.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then there's this other guy, James Monroe Atefko, who was only 25 when he read the book and ended up negotiating a 20% raise at his job.
Get out of here, 20% raise.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Now he's got like $100,000 saved up for retirement and like a really solid emergency fund.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's really putting this stuff into practice and seeing the benefits,
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely seems like it works. But, when I first started reading it, one thing I kind of got stuck on was this idea of conscious spending.
Okay, I've heard that term before.
It's like we all know we're supposed to budget, right?
Right.
But the idea of restricting ourselves on everything,
Yeah.
that just sounds awful.
Totally. It just feels like you're limiting yourself.
Yeah, I don't want to live like a monk.
Yeah, exactly. What's the point of making money if you can't even enjoy it?
Right, exactly. Well, it seems like Sethi is kind of on the same page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's not saying you have to only eat ramen noodles and never go out.
Okay.
He actually encourages you to spend extravagantly
Extravagantly.
on anything.
On the things you love.
Oh, but the catch is
Oh.
you have to be absolutely ruthless about cutting back on stuff you don't care about.
So it's prioritizing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
He even tells this story about his friend who spends $21,000 a year.
What? $21,000 on what?
Just going out and having fun,
Every year?
every year.
Dang.
I was like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, right.
Are they rich?
Yeah, I would love to spend $21,000 a year just going out,
Me too. Right.
but I feel like I'd be broke.
Well, I guess it's the whole point of the book. Right?
Yeah.
How do you actually make that work?
Right, what's the strategy there?
So basically, he breaks it down into this 4 buckets system.
4 buckets.
Yeah. So you've got your fixed costs.
Okay, rent, bills, all that.
Yep. Then there's savings.
Emergency fund, down payment,
Yep. And then investment.
Okay, Roth IRAs.
Mm-hmm. And then the best part,
What's that?
guilt-free spending money.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
Yeah. So it's not just about cutting back on everything.
Right.
It's about actually budgeting for the things you enjoy.
So you're not depriving yourself.
Exactly.
That sounds much more sustainable
Yeah.
than just being miserable and never spending money.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's you're giving yourself permission to enjoy your money.
I like that.
Yeah. Another thing that stood out to me was this analogy he uses about bad spending habits.
Okay.
It's those extra ounces of snacking
Ooh, yeah.
that turn into pounds over time.
Yeah, you don't even notice it. So
Exactly.
suddenly your pants don't fit.
I know, right?
Yeah,
It's the same with money.
totally.
We might not notice those small daily expenses.
Like that daily latte.
Yeah, exactly.
Or eating out for lunch every day.
Yeah, but they add up.
They really do.
And then speaking of being unaware,
Okay.
the book mentions this crazy statistic. The median retirement balance
Okay.
for people between 56 and 61 is only $25,000.
Oh, wow. That's really low.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked.
Ah.
So clearly, just crossing our fingers and hoping for the best is not a good plan.
No, not at all. You can't just assume things are going to work out.
Exactly. You have to be proactive.
You got to take control.
And I think a lot of us get caught up in this cycle of endlessly reading about the stock market and trying to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm totally guilty of that.
Me too.
I spend way too much time on financial news websites.
Yeah, and Sethi actually thinks that can be counterproductive.
Really? How so?
Well, he says it can lead to analysis paralysis.
Oh, that makes sense.
You get so overwhelmed by all the information that you end up doing nothing.
Oh, yeah. I can totally see that happening.
Yeah, you're so busy trying to figure out the perfect investment.
Yeah.
That you miss out on, actually investing.
Right. You're just stuck in research mode forever.
Exactly. So instead of trying to time the market, He says we should focus on consistent action,
Okay.
especially when it comes to investing.
So just like invest regularly,
Yeah, and he even talks about automating your finances.
automating.
So you can basically capitalize on the moments when everyone else is freaking out and selling.
Ooh, that's interesting. So like you're buying when everyone else is selling?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so you're not letting your emotions get in the way.
Right, you're not making decisions based on fear.
Exactly. You've got a system in place that's just doing its thing.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, are you ready for a really scary statistic?
Hit me?
Sethi says that over 75% of people in debt don't even know how much they owe.
No way, that's wild.
Yeah, I was like, how is that even possible?
I guess it's like if you don't know how much you owe, you don't have to face it right.
Yeah, I think it's a way of avoiding the problem.
Like out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly.
But that's just going to make it worse in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. Sethi calls these avoidance tactics invisible money scripts.
Invisible money scripts.
It's like these stories we tell ourselves about money, that sabotage our efforts.
Okay, like what kind of story?
Like, I'll never get out of debt.
Oh, yeah.
Or, I'm just not good with money.
Oh, I definitely tell myself that one sometimes.
Me too, right.
Yeah.
But he says until we, actually challenge those beliefs,
Yeah.
we'll never be able to break free from the cycle.
So it's like a mindset thing.
Totally.
Gosh.
It's about recognizing those negative scripts
Yeah.
and replacing them with more empowering ones.
So instead of saying I'm bad with money,
You take.
I'm learning to manage my money effectively.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it's a subtle shift.
Yeah.
But it can make a big difference.
Cool. So how do we actually start dismantling these negative scripts?
Well, Sethi gives a lot of specific advice.
Yeah.
Like, for example, with student loans.
Yeah.
He says, call your lender
Okay.
and ask specific questions about your options.
That makes sense.
You might be surprised at what's available.
Right, because there might be programs or something that you don't even know about.
Exactly. He also introduces this framework called the ladder of personal finance.
Ooh, a ladder.
Yeah, it basically outlines the steps you should take to build financial stability.
Okay.
So first, it's all about optimizing your credit cards.
Makes sense. Got to have good credit.
Yep. Then you tackle any high-interest debt you have.
Okay.
And then you start maxing out your employer's 401k match
Gotcha.
and opening a Roth IRA.
Oh, that's the one that Gavin used to get that $40,000 right.
Yes. But he points out this really common mistake.
Uh-uh.
People open a Roth IRA,
Yeah.
but then they don't actually invest the money.
Wait, it's like they just open the account and leave it there?
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
I know. It's like buying a gym membership and never getting.
Exactly. You're not going to see any results unless you actually, put in the work.
Right.
So, okay, you've got your Roth IRA all set up. What's the best way to actually invest that money?
Well, Sethi seems to have some pretty strong opinions about robo-advisors versus traditional brokerages like Vanguard.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those robo-advisors, like those apps that invest for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I always wondered, are they as good as a real financial advisor?
It seems like there are pros and cons to both.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your needs and how much control you want.
But his main point is that even choosing a low-cost option
Okay.
is a huge win compared to doing nothing.
That's true. Something is better than nothing.
Exactly. And when it comes to investing, he really stresses the importance of compound interest.
Compound interest, that's like the magic of investing, right?
Yeah, it's how even small investments can grow exponentially over time.
It's wild how it works. Like your money is making money.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
He even tells this story about his friend who missed out on thousands of dollars just because they didn't invest the money in their Roth IRA.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
I know, right? Talk about a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to make that mistake.
Me neither.
So, okay, we've got our retirement account set up. We're investing regularly. What's next on the ladder of personal finance?
Well, now it's time to explore the world of index funds and something called target date funds.
Ooh, I've heard of index funds, but I'm not really sure what target date funds are.
Yeah, those are a little more niche,
Okay.
but they sound pretty cool.
Hmm.
But before we get into all that,
Yeah.
we should probably let our listener absorb all this information.
Good idea. There's a lot to take in.
We'll be back in a flash to unravel the mysteries of index funds and beyond.
I'm ready for it.
Okay, so before the break, we were talking about index funds and target date funds.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious to hear more about those.
Me too, because I'm not really sure how they work.
Okay, well, let's start with index funds.
Right.
So basically, an index fund is like It's a type of mutual fund,
Hmm.
but instead of trying to beat the market, it just tracks a specific market
Like
index.
the S&P 500.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like you're not trying to pick individual stocks.
Nope. You're just buying a basket of stocks. That represents the overall market.
Okay, so it's kind of like a more passive approach to investing.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not trying to outsmart the market or anything.
Makes sense.
And there are a couple big advantages to that.
Okay, what are they?
Well, first of all, index funds tend to have really low fees.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, because there's not a fund manager actively picking stocks and stuff.
So you're not paying someone to try and beat the market,
Right, you're just paying a small fee to track the market.
which can make a big difference in your returns over
It's
time.
huge difference, yeah.
And what was the other advantage?
Oh yeah, the other big advantage is that index funds are generally more predictable
More predictable than what?
than actively managed funds,
Okay.
because those funds are constantly buying and selling stocks, trying to outperform the market.
Which doesn't always work.
Exactly.
Right.
And even when it does work, the fees can eat into your profits.
So with an index fund, you're basically just riding the wave of the overall market.
Yeah, you're not trying to get rich quick. You're just playing the long game.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal of that.
Yeah, it's a lot less stressful, too.
I can imagine.
No more checking your portfolio every day and freaking out about every little dip.
Yeah, that sounds nice. So, okay, index funds make sense. But what about these target date funds?
Right, yeah, those are a little different.
I'm still not really sure what they are.
Okay, well, imagine an index fund, but it automatically adjusts its asset allocation as you get closer to retirement.
Asset allocation, what's that?
Oh, it just means, like, how your investments are divided
Yeah.
between different asset classes.
Like stocks and bonds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're younger, you can afford to take on more risk. So a target date fund would start with a higher percentage of stocks.
Because stocks have the potential for higher returns.
Exactly, but they're also more volatile.
Right. So as you get closer to retirement,
The target date fund will gradually shift to a more conservative mix, with more bonds and less stocks.
so you're reducing your risk as you get closer to needing the money.
That's the idea, yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And the best part is, it all happens automatically.
So you don't have to, like, actively manage it or anything?
Well, you just pick your target retirement date, and the fund does the rest.
That's pretty cool.
It's like having a robo-advisor built into your retirement plan.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a really popular option for people who want to set it and forget it.
Okay, so we've got index funds and target date funds. What other investing strategies does Sethi recommend?
Well, he's not a big fan of actively managed mutual funds.
Oh, really? Why not?
He thinks they're a bad deal for most investors.
Interesting.
His main issue with them is the fees.
Oh, right. Those can be pretty high.
Yeah, and he argues that most active fund managers don't actually beat the market in the long run
So you're paying all these fees.
for potentially lower returns.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good deal.
And there's research to back that up. Like, studies have shown that very few active fund managers consistently outperform the market over time.
So you're basically just gambling with your money
Pretty much.
and hoping that your fund manager is one of the few who can actually beat the market.
Right. And even if they do, the fees can eat into your profits.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying stick with index funds or target date funds.
Yeah, for most people, that's going to be the best bet.
All right, I'm convinced.
Good.
I've heard this term before, asset allocation,
Right. Yeah, we touched on that briefly.
but I'm still not really sure what it means.
Okay, well, it's basically just about how you divide your investments between different types of assets.
Okay, so like stocks, bonds, real estate.
Exactly.
And why is that important?
Well, it's all about managing risk.
Okay.
Like, if you put all your money into one type of asset and that asset performs poorly, you could lose a lot of money.
That makes sense.
So by diversifying your investments, you're spreading your risk.
So if one investment goes down, another one might go up.
Right, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Okay, I like that. But how do you actually decide how to allocate your assets?
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It depends on a few factors.
Okay, like what?
Well, your age is a big one.
How so?
Well, when you're younger,
Hmm.
you have more time to recover from losses, so you can afford to take on more risk.
Okay.
But as you get closer to retirement, you want to start shifting to a more conservative portfolio with less risk.
That makes sense.
And your risk tolerance is another factor.
So like some people are more comfortable with risk than others.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then there are your financial goals.
Right. Like, are you saving for retirement, Or are you saving for a down payment on a house?
Okay, so there's a lot to consider.
Yeah, but the good news is there are resources available to help you figure it out.
Like what?
Well, Sethi provides a lot of guidance in his book, and there are also websites and online tools that can help you determine your risk tolerance and create an asset allocation strategy.
Cool. I'll have to check those out.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, once you've set your asset allocation, is that it?
Well, not quite. You also need to rebalance your portfolio periodically.
Rebalance. What's that?
It just means like making sure your asset allocation stays in line with your target percentages.
Okay.
Because over time, as certain investments perform better than others, your portfolio can drift away from your original allocation.
So, like, you might end up with a higher percentage of stocks than you wanted.
Exactly. And if you're nearing retirement, that could be a problem.
Yeah, because stocks are riskier than bonds.
Right. So rebalancing is just about selling some of your winners
Mm-hmm.
and buying more of your losers
Yep.
to bring your asset allocation back into balance.
Okay, I think I understand.
It can feel a little counterintuitive. Like, why would you sell something that's doing well?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But it's all about managing risk
Yeah.
and making sure your portfolio stays aligned with your goals.
Gotcha. All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. Index funds, target date funds, asset allocation, rebalancing.
Yeah, we've been busy.
I'm feeling a lot more confident about investing now,
That's great to hear.
but I know there's still a lot to learn.
There always is.
So what's next on our deep dive agenda?
Well, I think it's time to tackle some common tax myths.
No, cactus.
I know, not the most exciting topic.
But definitely important.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Okay, well, I'm ready to bust some myths.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle those tax myths.
All right, let's debunk some misconceptions.
Hit me with it. What's the first myth we're busting?
All right, so one of the biggest ones is that the U.S. is the highest tax nation in the world.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely heard that one before.
It's just not true, though.
Really?
Yeah, when you compare tax rates across developed countries, the U.S. actually falls somewhere in the middle.
Huh. Interesting. I guess it's easy to just believe what you hear without actually checking the facts.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to taxes.
Okay, what's another tax myth that people often fall for?
Another common one is the idea that it's better to avoid earning more money just to dodge taxes.
Yeah, I've heard that one too. Like, why bother making more if you're just going to lose it all to taxes?
Right, but that kind of thinking can really hold you back.
Yeah, you're limiting your earning potential.
Exactly. And there are actually legitimate ways to reduce your tax burden, like taking advantage of deductions and credits.
Right, it's about being smart with your money, not
Yeah.
trying to avoid taxes altogether. So we've tackled a couple of tax myths. What other financial wisdom does Sethi have to offer?
Well, he dedicates a whole chapter to negotiating a raise.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, it can be a really intimidating conversation.
Yeah, like how do you even bring it up?
Right, and how do you make sure you're asking for a reasonable amount?
And how do you handle it if they say no?
Exactly, there's a lot to consider.
But Sethi breaks it down into a really clear process.
Okay, what are some of his key tips?
Well, he stresses the importance of preparation.
So, like doing your research and knowing your worth.
Exactly. You need to know what other people in similar roles are making. And you need to be able to articulate the value you bring to the company.
Makes sense.
And he also recommends practicing your pitch so you feel confident and prepared when you have the conversation.
That's a good idea. I always get tongue-tied when I'm nervous.
Me too.
Mm.
But practice definitely helps. And he even provides scripts you can use.
Seriously? That's awesome.
Yeah, it takes the guesswork out of it.
Okay, so we've talked about investing, we've busted some tax myths, and we've learned how to negotiate a raise. What else is on Sethi's financial checklist?
Well, he also touches on some big-ticket purchases, like buying a car and buying a home.
Ooh, yeah, those are big decisions.
And he provides tips for navigating those transactions and avoiding common pitfalls.
Like what kind of pitfalls?
Well, with car buying, he talks about the importance of research, comparing prices, negotiating effectively, and understanding the total cost of ownership,
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of buying a new car.
and end up spending more than you planned.
Right, or agreeing to a loan with a really high interest rate.
Exactly. So it's important to be a savvy consumer.
And not let your emotions get the best of you.
And when it comes to buying a home, he emphasizes the importance of calculating the true cost of ownership.
So like taking into account property taxes, insurance, maintenance.
All of that, yeah.
It's not just about the mortgage payment.
Nope. There are a lot of hidden costs.
And he also cautions against buying more house than you can afford.
Yeah, even if you qualify for a larger mortgage, it's important to make sure you're not stretching your budget too thin.
Absolutely. It's all about finding a balance.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We really have, from budgeting and saving to investing and buying a home.
And I think one of the most important takeaways from Sethi's book is that it's not just about managing money. It's about designing a life you love.
Right. He talks about creating a rich life.
Exactly, and it's not just about having a lot of money. It's about having the freedom and resources to pursue your passions.
To spend time with loved ones, to travel, to give back to your community.
Yeah, it's about living a life that's aligned with your values.
And he provides a ton of practical advice for making that happen.
From automating your finances, to negotiating your salary, to investing wisely, he gives you the tools you need to take control of your money and create a life you're excited about.
I think that's a great message to end on.
I agree, it's not just about being rich, it's about living a rich life.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. We hope you found this exploration of I Will Teach You to Be Rich helpful and inspiring. For more such content, go to our channel Pages and Perspectives. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and press the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thank you for